The Center for Chemical Process Safety promotes the notion that an integrated approach needs to be used for process safety. This diagram shows what they call the 20 pillars of risk-based process safety. According to the McKinsey Global Institute, the post-COVID workforce will be smaller, younger, and much more digitally oriented. The days of inefficient, manual approaches to risk-based process safety compliance are over. Technology must be brought to bear on this problem. If we look at everything needed for satisfying risk-based process safety requirements, we see three large buckets. First is the asset information bucket. This is normally managed by asset or maintenance management applications. Some of the popular ones are shown here. Second is the document management bucket. Most companies use network file shares or popular applications like Microsoft SharePoint for this purpose. Over the years, Gateway has helped numerous companies set up electronic document vaulting. And third, it's the business process automation bucket. That's of course where the FACILEX suite comes into play, because we can handle all the business process automation requirements of risk-based process safety. There are over 25 FACILEX applications, but only 14 of them are needed for risk-based process safety, since some apps satisfy several requirements. The relevant applications are Audit Management, Contractor Management, Corrective Actions, Incident Reporting and Investigation, Issue Management, which some people call Action Item Management, Job Safety Analysis, Lessons Learned, Management of Change and Organizational Management of Change, Procedures, Process Hazards Analysis, Pre-Startup Safety Review, both contained within an MOC and standalone, Maintaining a Risk Register, which we call Risk Watch, Training, and Measurement and Metrics, where we provide interfaces to visualization tools like Power BI. These three buckets of functionality allow you to satisfy all the risk-based process safety requirements. The approach to API1173 compliance is entirely analogous to risk-based process safety. The main difference is cosmetic, since the API uses the Schuhart Plan, Do, Check, Act diagram. System integrity is normally handled by an asset management or maintenance application, like we said before. Similarly, documentation and record keeping involves some form of electronic document management system. Again, Gateway has helped numerous companies set up electronic document vaulting. The remainder of the API 1173 solution uses exactly the same applications as risk-based process safety. What we're going to do over the next approximately half hour is a walkthrough of the FACILEX application suite. Then we'll answer some frequently asked questions. Then we'll revisit this by looking at process safety from an equipment-centric perspective. And finally, I'll comment on why this is critically important in the post-COVID-19 era. So hang on, we're going to move quickly. Mouse movements are often hard to see in a video like this, so we're going to use colored boxes for emphasis. Green boxes draw your attention to what we're talking about, and red boxes show what we're going to click on. My responsibilities shows the tasks and objects that we're responsible for. Clicking on My Active Objects brings up a list of specific items. Here I can see all the business objects that I'm responsible for, MOCs, environmental risks, and incident investigation, and so on. I can also navigate the asset structure to find all the data pertinent to the specific location. That answers the question, what's going on in my area? Let's get started with our day in the life of an incident investigation. Here we are at the incident reporting portal. We can choose Simple Report if we just want to report a minor issue like a first aid incident which needs to be reported but doesn't demand a detailed investigation. We can choose detailed investigation if it's clear that something of significance has happened and an investigation is needed. A lot of times, people are unsure about whether it's simple or not, and in this case, we can select a flexible report. A flexible report provides the ability to report the incident, and then a responsible person, perhaps a safety rep, intervenes in the process and decides whether a simple or detailed report is needed. Let's consider this scenario. Two contract maintenance persons were working near a vessel containing hydrocarbons under pressure. Suddenly, a pressure safety valve released and sprayed the pair with hot hydrocarbons. Fortunately, there was no ignition. However, the workers were badly injured and required hospitalization. At this point, I'm going to enter an incident using the FACILEX mobile app. I'll select Incidents. Then I'll hit the Add button at the bottom, and then I'll say, yes, workers injured, etc. What type of event was it? It was an incident, not a near miss, etc. So note that this was a contractor incident, so I'll put in Echo Bay Maintenance. Since this happened out at the plant, I'm going to take a couple of pictures. Okay, so here's a photo of the facilities. And so I can say use photo. Once we're all done, we simply hit save. Everything will be saved into the phone at this point. And then when we go back, we can say, hey, this picture is ready to be uploaded, or this incident is ready to be uploaded. Go ahead and upload. And that's all there is to it. Here's the dashboard for the incident that we just reported using the mobile app. Just for fun, let's see the photos that the initiator took out at the site. Here are the pictures we took with the mobile app. They were automatically uploaded to FACILEX. Let's complete the first task. When we scope out this incident investigation, we'll answer yes to, does the incident involve facility equipment in any way, operator log sheets, photos, and sequence of events as reported by maintenance. According to the checklist, this incident involves facility equipment, so it makes sense to see if there are any relevant MOCs. The tool we clicked on takes us to the MOC connection view. Note the connection button bar at the top of the page. The list of MOCs is already pre-filtered to show just the MOCs in the area and unit in question. We can unfilter this to see more MOCs if we wish. Let's select the last one in the list because it looks relevant, and then we'll connect to the detailed investigation. Since this was a contractor incident, we need to identify the relevant contractors and contracts. For Echo Bay Maintenance, we'll pick both the master contract and the job-specific contract. The contract data is now linked to the incident. Certain items, fires, explosions, injuries, spills, etc., require specific data collection. Here's an example of data that's collected for a pressure relief device discharge. As we get into the analysis state on the incident, let's take a detailed look at the master contract. Oh dear, it looks like this contractor has been involved in quite a few incidents. Of course, I could have gotten the same information by looking at a report on the incident site, but bear with me for a minute. Let's scroll down the page and see if the proper procedure was followed when onboarding the contractor. Well, we provided them all the contractual data and we processed the contract, but we never got the injury and illness incidence rates. It looks like Fiona deferred that action item and has ignored it for the last 3 years. That's a pretty big gap in our process. I think we should request an audit of this contractor. Let's complete the audit request form. Selecting the appropriate risk-based process safety element is important because each element triggers the appropriate template. We're now in the audit, and here the green box shows the link back to the contract we're auditing. And we can open the audit template by clicking the red box. This is the Contractor Management Audit template from the Center for Chemical Process Safety. It has 40 questions, and some questions have subparts, so it's fairly detailed. Note that the score is out of 3. Of course, when I close the audit template, I can see the audit score here. And then I'll create an action item to obtain injury and illness incidence rates from Echo Bay Maintenance and evaluate for adequacy. This follow-up action will need to be completed before the audit can be closed out. We're back at the incident now. We discovered some inadequacies in how the contractor was onboarded, did an audit, and generated a follow-up item. That's an interesting discovery, but a contractor with a potentially poor safety record doesn't fully explain this incident. Let's look at the MOC. I see that this MOC had 2 PSSRs, one to start up the first reactor and another one to start up the second reactor. Looks like there was training performed on this MOC. We can click on the link to the training item, and it appears that everybody got trained. And they did a PHA for this MOC as well. Let's dig into that. Here's the relevant part of the PHA report. It shows that the PHA team gave consideration to the effects of venting a PSV at a level where workers might be standing. But if we scroll up to the top of the report, we see that there are residual safety risks identified by the PHA team. This safety risk was ranked, and it has a high risk level. The PHA team indicated that this issue poses an ongoing risk to worker safety. And the shocking part is that this risk was supposed to be mitigated years ago and apparently was not dealt with. So now we're back at the incident investigation dashboard. What have we learned? We reviewed the relevant contractor data and were concerned that this contractor had had a lot of incidents. We triggered a process safety audit, which had follow-up items for the contractor. Then we identified MOCs which might have contributed to the incident. The suspect MOC had good training and complete PSSRs. However, when we looked at the MOC's PHA, we discovered that the PHA team had identified a residual safety risk. And, regrettably, although the risk was high, no one acted on it for over 3 years. And all this was done by simply navigating the data that was already there. And isn't that the whole idea of risk-based process safety and API1173? The idea that process safety needs to be looked at holistically? And shouldn't it be easy to navigate from one data item to another without logging into a dozen different systems or doing complicated queries? That's why we have the FACILEX suite. You're well aware that every FACILEX application has a reports page. The links provide access to tabular views of data from this application only. You can use the views that Gateway provides or create and modify data views yourself. The landing page aggregates data across all sites. For example, I can see everything that I own by clicking My Active Objects, which aggregates business objects from all the sites, incidents, contracts, MOCs, etc. Or I can navigate the asset structure and see just the data for Area 1 or the Midland Fractionator, for example. It's always been possible to display graphics from FACILEX data. As part of the standard product, we've added the links to visualization tools like Power BI. Here are some MOC visuals that show duration and cost on the left, and then breakdowns by risk level and shutdown requirements on the right. This example is in Microsoft Power BI because that's a really popular tool nowadays, but the same approach works for Tableau and other visualization tools. All the data is filterable. So, for instance, this is the same data we just saw, except that it's filtered for Area 1. The 3 dial gauges on the right are the main MOC metrics that we're tracking: overdue temp MOCs, average risk level, and percent emergency MOCs. The dial gauge on the left is the overall MOC score, currently 42%. But don't forget that MOC is just one part of the overall risk-based process safety or API1173 initiative. Here's an overall dashboard for all the elements of the initiative. Clicking on any of the dial gauges allows us to drill down to more detailed data visualization. Clicking on the FACILEX FX icon takes you to the applications themselves. Here are some frequently asked questions. Question: we already have incident reporting and training applications, but we see the benefits of having all the data together in FACILEX in order to get overall metrics. Can FACILEX accommodate these requirements? First of all, this is really common. In the 30 years that Gateway has been doing systems integration work, we encounter this at every company. The approach we use is to reflect the data from your other application as FACILEX shadow objects. The business process continues in the other application, but the data is visible in FACILEX for metrics and reference purposes. Question: all of our equipment data is stored in SAP. Can we integrate that into FACILEX? The answer is yes. Here I'm showing a daily exchange of data with SAP. The icons are added by FACILEX. The rest is just SAP equipment data. Question: well, if equipment data can appear in FACILEX, is it possible to link business processes like PHA, MOC, incidents, etc. to the equipment data? Answer: yes. This is another benefit of the FACILEX suite. And that's a nice segue to the final topic. Do you recall the incident investigation scenario we discussed at the beginning of this video? We're going to do something similar, but from a more equipment-centric perspective. Let's pick up the thread from the detailed incident investigation and click on the related MOC link. We see that this MOC had equipment data associated with it. Let's recall that clicking on the icon for a business process takes us to the dashboard for that business process. Similarly, clicking on the icon for a data item, like equipment, takes us to the dashboard for the data item. On the left, I see all the information about the reactor vessel itself. On the right, I see all the places where the reactor vessel is referenced, kind of a where used capability. In this example, the relationships are arranged chronologically. Starting at the bottom, I see that the reactor was first encountered on an initial PHA back in 2015. Then, the reactor was involved in an incident where emergency shutdown had to be invoked due to an overpressure situation. In order to address the risk of overpressure, an MOC was conducted, focused on installing a new pressure safety valve on this reactor, 70R517, and its sister component, 70R527. A PHA was performed as part of the MOC. That PHA identified an unmitigated safety risk which appears on the risk register. And finally, we have the current incident where workers were injured during a pressure safety valve discharge. A good question to ask is, was this incident scenario foreseen during the PHA or not? I'm now looking at the PHA data for the specific node. Just like before, all the data describing the node is on the left. And all the places where the node appears are on the right. There is one HAZOP line item related to the node, something about loss of agitation. There is a what if here as well, called what if a PSV exhausts to the atmosphere where workers are standing? Bingo. That's exactly what happened. So the root cause is not that the PHA team did a bad job. No, the root cause has more to do with the failure to follow up on risks that were clearly identified. We can go on and explore other benefits of referencing equipment, but I think you get the idea. Let's wrap it up. We discovered 6 key features of the FACILEX suite that really drive benefits. FACILEX provides a one-stop shop for all process safety business processes and data. FACILEX provides data aggregation. In other words, show me everything I'm responsible for, or show me everything that's going on in my area. It was easy to find all the information for our incident investigation because the easy way to connect data and navigate from one application to the next. Similarly, we could see all the data connected to specific pieces of equipment. And no problem if some of the needed data is in third-party incident investigation or other applications. And no problem if some of the data is in asset management applications like SAP, Maximo, Oracle, etc. All that data can be integrated with or reflected in FACILEX. Of course, all the data is available for presentation in dashboards, like this Power BI example. You can really see how you're doing with process safety compliance. So those are the key features. And the benefits are obvious. Finding data is fast, and the information is accurate and complete. Oh, and one final word before we adjourn. We don't know the ultimate public health trajectory of COVID-19. What we do know is that companies will cut back and each of us will have to do more with less. But we're still going to have to comply with process safety requirements. Having a whole collection of disparate applications to support process safety was tolerated in the past, but will no longer be tolerated because it's simply too expensive. Quite a few companies tried to extend their asset or maintenance management applications to support process safety. But that required a lot of customization to give only partial functionality and was very expensive. What will work is a fully integrated suite of process safety applications like we've seen today, based on FACILEX. I understand the financial stress that companies are experiencing right now because I hear it every day from my clients. We have really sharpened our pencils at Gateway. So call us. I guarantee you will be glad that you made the call.